Can you hear my air conditioning? The luxury.
I cannot hear your air conditioning, but I'm so glad that you're not boiling the way that you were last week. You were dying.
I was dying and I was pissed because the guy didn't come until like 6 p.m. and I stayed
no.
home all day to wait for him.
Oh, that's the worst.
But it's fixed. It was fixed that night. We got a new filter.
Okay.
This is
Was that the
riveting.
problem? It was the filter issue?
Something about the filter got backed up and the coil was frozen.
Oh, no.
And so they had to defrost the coil and then put a new filter.
It's a little ironic that the coil was frozen and therefore wouldn't cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It got a little too good at its job.
Yeah. Stop trying to, yeah.
Stop showing off.
Stop showing off.
That's a listening ego. Okay.
Yeah. But it was funny because just so Midwest, where the AC guy came and he fixed the thing and then he was like going out the door and then he and Jeff talked for like 15 minutes of like, oh, he said to Jeff, oh, I like your mustache. And Jeff was like, oh, thanks. I like your beard. And then they're talking for like 20 minutes about just like, lifting and how they, move through the world. And I'm just like sitting on the couch, like, this is nice, but can you leave? Because I've been trying to get out of my fucking house for 12 hours today.
Well, you wonder why it took him till 6 p.m. to show up, because he had 7 of those today.
He chit-chats. He chit-chats. Yeah. You know what? And I shouldn't be shitting on that because that's creating community and that is connection. And I'm just a bitch who moved here from New York City.
But get the fuck out of my house.
But also, like, this is great. We love your beard. Please leave. I've been living in limbo all day. I can't do this.
I'll give you a sticker if you just leave.
You want a sticker? Here it is. Sticker. Put it on his forehead. Push him out the door. No, we need him in our corner.
Yeah, you do.
Him in our corner.
That's a valuable player for sure. The AC repairman.
Yeah.
Need it. My AC's been broken. It just keeps like clicking and then struggling to turn back on in the middle of the night. And it's also right next to my bed, so it keeps waking me up in the middle of the night. And I, long story short, cannot get the super to come look at it. And then he finally came to look at it. And I wasn't home. One of my roommates was home. And then she texted me later and was like, oh yeah, he turned it on and off. And he said it's turning on. And I was like, that's not the problem.
Oh my God. Infuriating.
This is after like 4 fully ghosted texts. And then he finally was there to fix something else. He looked at it. I should have stayed. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, oh yeah. Like, they've got it. I'm too trusting in handymen and supers. Like, I gotta understand that I gotta make them do their job because they don't want to. Yeah, not everyone, but this particular person. It's very frustrating. So it's still doing it. I've been avoiding my apartment and it's just a lot of fun. I'm just going to wait for it to cool off and just not do anything about it because I just can't figure out how to do anything about it because the man who's supposed to repair just pretends I don't exist. What do you do then?
Turning it on and off? Like
I should unplug
that's the whole thing. No, that's really annoying because it's like a little bit of gaslighting where it's like, look, it turns on and it turns off and then it turns on again. Bye. And you're like, that's not the problem. The problem is that eventually it will stop working
and
once it's on.
I sent a video of it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I didn't need you to come here and show me how when you press the button, it doesn't make the noise. It's like, I sent you the video. You know what it does. You don't know. I swear to God, he doesn't know how to fix it. So he's just like, oh, there's no problem.
Yeah. He's like, if I don't see it, it doesn't exist.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't live here. So what do I care?
So what does he care? It's not waking him up in the middle of the night when it's going click, 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 click. That's what it sounds like, listeners.
Horrible.
Sorry to subject you to that. Yeah.
I'm sorry. At least you have another place to go.
At least I have another place to go. Absolutely. Yeah.
Has it been like
I'm lucky.
Very, very hot in New York?
It's been super hot, but this week is actually pretty lovely. It's like like low 80s. It's been
Mhm.
really nice, like the last 2 days. It rained all of last week. And before that, it's been like 2 months of nonstop, like mid 90s, low 100s.
Yeah.
Disgusting. And I feel like usually June and July are not that bad. And then August and like early September are really rough.
Yeah.
But this year it came fast and it came hard.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. It came fast, came
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
It's been
It-
nasty.
and especially in the city, it's
Yeah.
like nastier.
It's just sticky and
Yeah.
it's gross.
Sticky and
Yeah.
really hard and rough to get through.
This is turning into like a Dipsy podcast. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, there's a little boy
Oh,
riding past on like a one of those things, one of those wheeled things that you
tricycle?
pedal, but you're like leaning back. He's like leaning back. He's like laying down basically,
Like
pedaling his feet.
one of those things that people who don't have legs that they can use in the New York City Marathon,
I don't know about that. I'm not sure
where they're
about
like
that.
laying down, but they're using their arms, I think, and like wheeling themselves.
Maybe. This this was a little boy who was using his feet. So I don't know. I don't know. I have not watched the New York City Marathon. I don't know of this thing that you speak.
Sometimes my brain works in weird ways. Like when
Hmm.
I was auditioning for colleges, I applied to NYU for acting, and so you have to do an audition. And there was also an interview portion as part of that audition. And they asked me, how do you think they get the frosting inside of a Twinkie, the filling inside of a Twinkie? No clue why they asked it. I was just thinking about it the other day. I was like, why do they ask that? And I was like,
That's weird.
hmm, good question. I think they take an apple core. And I was like fully serious. I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Wait, finish
It's
finish
an
what you
assembly
said.
line, Linda. I'm like, they use an apple core and they core the middle of the Twinkie, and then
Oh.
they use
Mm.
a like an icing, you know,
Hmm.
bag,
Yeah.
and they squirt it into the middle. And that was my answer. I did get in, by the way. So my answer was winning. But
They liked your
that's stuff.
originality.
I'm like, what? Where did this come from? Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Do you hear the round
A
saw?
little bit. A little bit.
Very
It's all right. It'll be fine.
I came here for quiet. I'm a
There's a
little
buzz
agitated
saw
today.
in the back room, in the background, in case anyone hears it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
so sorry. I live in New
It's
York.
New York. What do you want
People
us to do?
people are doing construction. Well, welcome to When We Like to Know.
With Ariel.
And Linda, the podcast where we get honest, deep, and curious about life's big conversations. Isn't that right, Ariel?
It's right, because we don't have to do it alone.
Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
What are we talking about on today's episode? It's a little grab bag.
It's a grab bag of fun. I would say the overarching umbrella, once again, is like pop culture slash favorites in our lives right now.
Yeah.
We talk about some books that we've been reading that we like or don't like. Talk
Yeah.
about our patterns and trends around reading and how that can shift. We talk about a few movies, documentaries.
Mhm.
Yeah. So pop culture there. And then we go into passion and the Olympics and like being able to allow yourself to feel excitement and to feel proud over things that you have accomplished.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a goodie. It's a goodie. If you like it, you can also give us a review or a rating on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to podcasts. It really helps us get discovered. It takes also 2 seconds. So you could even do it like right now while you're listening to us talk. Crazy.
Do it
Do it.
right now, and I'll talk really slow so that you can
Also,
finish writing it. Yeah.
I should say, I complained about this person. I'll call them a
Oh,
person. Being
as
very
opposed
dramatic.
to
I don't
an
know.
animal.
An animal who gave us a 4-star review on, I think it was on Spotify, because all you can do is leave star ratings.
Oh, yeah.
They, to their credit, that's why I'll call them a person this time. They went back and changed it to a 5 because now we have strictly 5-star reviews. And I would like to say if you're listening, thank you for doing the right thing.
My mind just goes to like, I wonder if that person deleted their Spotify account or like if they
Yeah.
got thrown off of
Maybe they
Spotify
got thrown off for
for
giving
being
people
an
4-star
animal.
ratings, which is a crazy thing to do.
That's funny. I wonder
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or over on Spotify. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can subscribe on YouTube,
Mhm.
where we show our faces.
Hi,
If
YouTube.
you you can also go and follow us on Instagram. We share videos from the podcast. We share photos from our week or little meme things or, just like some graphic design projects,
That's right.
period.
Oh, you can also email us at wouldn'twelike-to-know@gmail.com with any guest suggestions. We have been talking about going back to guests for about the last 9 months, and one day we will. So we're going to need your suggestions, or with any like episode topics, anything you'd like us to talk about. Yeah, and that's about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
everyone. We'll see you on the other side of this advertisement.
Advertisement. See you soon. Bye.
Jeff goes to sleep before me because he's back in school. So he'll go to sleep at like 10:15.
Okay.
And on the nights that I have off, I'll like get in bed at the same time as him, but I
Yeah.
will like read my book or whatever. And sometimes I'll read my book, whatever I'm reading aloud to him to like help him fall asleep.
Oh,
And I've been reading
your
this.
voice makes him fall asleep.
Yeah. Well, you'll like put like a podcast or something on so that he just has like something droning in the background. So I'll do it quietly.
Yeah.
But then I can like still read my book. But
That's
I've been
nice.
reading this book that's so fun and good and really good writing.
Okay.
And it's by Mike Sager, who is a journalist. And he worked at the Washington Post under Bob Woodward, who
Okay. Yes.
broke the Watergate scandal. And he's worked for Esquire and GQ and done all of these amazing stories. And his whole thing is basically like getting in with kind of the underbelly of society and writing those stories.
Uh-huh.
And so it's called, I always forget the name, like Superstars and Super Freaks, something like that.
Okay.
And it's like a collection of his articles from like late 1980s to like early 2000s.
Uh-huh.
And so I was reading one aloud about a DEA agent who was like caught in a big drug scandal.
Uh-huh.
And he was from Boston, and then there was another guy from somewhere else, and Jeff was like, no, you have to do voices. So I was doing voices for the characters, and one of them was from Boston, but I have to like really focus, and it was nighttime and I was tired and I had my retainers in.
Oh no.
So I was like, okay, this guy's going to be just basically like a 1930s detective in like a film noir. He's
Okay.
going to talk in a mid-Atlantic accent like
Oh.
this. The cops, don't talk to the cops. Don't do anything. And then the other guy was, Jeff requested like very high British RP. So the
Okay.
other man spoke this way. They were talking to each other and Jeff was laughing and then he fell asleep. So that's my story. That's it.
It sounds like a great way to go to bed.
I'm just
Can I
a
hire
storyteller.
you to read me a story before I go to bed?
I'm available for any voiceover needs.
Okay,
Yeah,
amazing.
for sure.
Yeah.
I'll record for you.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's fun.
Has the book been really interesting? Like crazy
I'm
stories
obsessed with it.
and
Obsessed.
say the name of the book again?
The name of the book is Scary Monsters and Super Freaks: Stories of Sex, Drugs, Rock and Roll, and Murder by Mike Sager.
Oh, wow. All the hard
And
hitters.
that's like a really big subgenre that I love. I mean, a sub interest.
Mhm.
I love like learning about weird, dark things. So
Very weird, very
it's
dark.
great.
Love
It's great.
it.
Yeah, it's really good. I bought it from Thrift Books because it was not many places. I tried to get it from the library and they didn't have it at the library. So I got it from
What is Thrift Books? I don't know it.
Thrift Books is an online bookstore where I think it's like people that are either reselling books or like from bookstores where they have an excess amount. So you can get like lots of books for cheap from bookstores.
Oh, love that. I didn't know that.
And like used books. Yeah, I get a lot of my books from there if I can't get them from the library.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know. I'm always forgetting about the library. I haven't been reading a lot lately, so I mean, maybe that's why, but I've gone through phases where I get a lot of books from the library and then phases when I forget the library exists.
Yeah.
And I'm currently in the latter.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay. I have the Libby app, which you can
Yeah.
connect to a bunch of different. So I have
Yeah.
literally New York City Library, Queens Library, Johnson County Library from Kansas, and then Kansas City Library. So I have
You've got all the
pick of
libraries.
the litter.
And then do
I
you
got a
read on like a Kindle? Do you get
well, I
them?
just got a Kindle. I got a Kindle
Oh,
with Amazon
congratulations.
Prime Day. Thank you, Jeff
Wow.
Bezos. Love you. Don't, but I love that. Anyway, forget that.
I love
I got
discounts
a
though.
Kindle and I got a really cute cover. So I I love it. But it's
Yeah.
funny because I've been so into this other book, the Mike Sager book, that
Uh,
is like an
hardcover.
actual book that I
Yeah.
haven't really touched the Kindle
Mm,
that much.
mm,
But it's really nice at night, especially
mm.
because I can just open it up and it's dark. So like
Yeah.
it's dark and I can change the warmth of it. So
Mm.
yeah, loving my Kindle.
Okay. Which Kindle did you get? Which type? The
The
paperweight?
Paperwhite, yeah,
The paperwhite.
Paperwhite. Mm-hmm.
Paperweight. I don't think that's a Kindle type.
I don't think it is, but yeah, I
That's
got
what
the
my Kindle
Paperwhite.
is. My Kindle's a paperweight
It
because I
is a
don't
pain.
use it.
Yeah,
Imagine if they came out with a Kindle called
the Paperweight
Paperweight.
where you just like you can't even get books on it. It's just like a Kindle with nothing on it, but it's just a little
Yeah.
heavier.
Yeah, exactly.
So it keeps your papers down because
Exactly.
people have a lot of papers now,
That's right.
you
You could
know,
put it
in
on
the
top of your
digital
books.
universe.
The
Yeah.
paperweight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just an art piece.
It's just an art piece. I used to have a Kindle. I guess I still have it. I have not actually picked it up in 5 years, but I just really like the feeling of holding a book in my hand. There's something about the screen. I don't want I want it to be a real paper.
Mm-hmm.
One day they'll figure out how to
Yeah.
like really make it feel like you're reading a piece of paper, and that's what I
Yeah.
will like.
I mean, I don't think it's not replacing
Right.
books for me. Like I love a book,
Yeah.
book in my hand.
Yeah.
But I think it provides a different convenience.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
it's great if you're traveling, it's great. I
Yeah.
do think it's really nice at night, like especially if you have a partner that's already asleep. So like
Yeah.
I don't have to I also have a little red night light, so it's like a red light and it's
Mm.
so if I'm reading a book, that's fine. But
Mm.
it's like easier to just open up the Kindle and read from there.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have
Yeah.
to like lug a book. Like gone are the days when you had to take 5 books on vacation because you're like, well, which one will I want to read? Because they're all on your Kindle. So you just bring your Kindle and you have all your books.
Right. And
That
how
part's
many
nice.
times do you bring a book and you're on vacation and you're like, I don't want to read this book?
Never. That's never happened to me. I've.
You're a liar.
I think that's a universal experience. Yeah. No,
Excuse
not
me.
to me though, because I'm really educated and I spend a lot of time reading. So I can find interest in almost any subject. I'm really intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that doesn't
I
happen to me.
I literally told my friend she let me borrow her copies of The Three Body Problem, which is
Okay.
a show on Netflix now, but it's like a sci-fi sci-fi series. And I started reading the first like 3 pages and I told her, I was like, I closed the book. I'm too dumb. Like I'm not smart enough for this. I don't understand. I no. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's just my self-talk
Yeah.
as I'm reading and I'm like, it's me. I'm the problem. I suck.
I'm one
But
of
I'm
the
going to give it
three
back to
bodies in the problem.
her. But also I had watched the series already. So
Okay.
I already like knew
Yeah.
there will be more seasons. There's 3 books in the series. Like I'm just going to wait for the show.
Very
I'm going to
creative,
wait for the
very
show.
fitting. I've been reading this book, One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle, and
Sounds
I'm
fun.
been about a third of the way through almost the whole time I've been reading it. I can't get past it. I'm carrying it around, clearly. I'm not home at the moment. I'm carrying it around and I just can't get further. But I like the idea of it because she's
Mm.
in Italy and I want to
Mm-hmm.
be in Italy. So I like that part. But then her mom, the premise of the book, and this is on the back of the book, so no spoilers. The premise of the book is that her mom passes away. Sad. I'm like, that makes me sad. I don't like that. She's grieving her mom. Her marriage is falling apart. She leaves her husband in California, who she just like doesn't even want to talk to. And she goes to Italy on this vacation that her mom and her had planned. Her mom was supposed to be with her on. Sad.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she sees her mom as a young person in Italy. And her mom had gone to Italy when she was younger. And so it's like she's like rediscovered her mom at this younger age, like a
Mm.
similar age to what she is. And then they befriend each other. And I'm at the point right now where she's just like, I keep wanting to like tell her, you're my mom. And I don't want to let go of her. I'm like, okay, this is just sad. Like, this isn't fun.
And you didn't know it was going to
Something good
be,
needs to happen.
you didn't sign up for that.
I guess I kind of knew, but I guess I thought it would be a little less sad. And she has another book that I really liked called In 5 Years,
Mm-hmm.
where she like flashes forward 5 years and she sees like what her life could be like. I think I read it in like one day in one sitting during COVID. It's the fastest I've ever read a book,
Wow.
and I loved it. So I just think I had high hopes based on the author and the fact that it would takes place in Italy, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it sounds like it's not a bad book. It's just not your vibe right now.
I think it might just not be my vibe right now. But I keep wanting to give it a chance because I want to like it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you
Have
just
you?
need to give up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's hard for my pattern at times is that I'll start a book and I'll get a little bit of the way into it and be like, I really don't like this. And then I
Yeah.
will stop reading, period, because I think I have to finish that book. And I
Yeah.
don't want that
I
to
think
be
that's
my
happened to me.
pattern anymore. I
No
just want to be
more.
like, this is not working. I'm going to put this aside and choose a different thing. And I feel like
Yeah.
I've been doing that. So that's good. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it's time to just put it aside for now and find something else.
Well, in the book community, they call it a DNF, a did not finish, and that's
Mm,
fine. Like,
that's fine.
that's fine, but it's not fine for me. I need to finish what I start.
Oh God. Have
Yeah.
you read A Year in Provence?
No.
Any of his books?
No.
They're really fun and
Yeah.
very sweet and
Okay.
very like escapist. It's
Okay.
a man's like actual memoirs of living in Provence, and they're
Oh,
from, I
wow.
think that they were from England.
Okay.
They're from London, and he and his wife buy a place in Provence, and then like all these little vignettes and stories of like the intricacies of getting a place and
Yeah.
like all of the local neighbors who are really funny and like all the feasts that they have, and it's really very very sweet.
It's giving me like lighter version of David Sedaris vibes.
Yeah, it's like very very light David Sedaris, and it
Okay.
is like funny and charming, but in a very different way than David Sedaris. There's no like tumors. There's not so much sarcasm.
Yeah, his humor is very dark. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's super sweet. I would highly recommend if you're like looking for a Europe escape.
Yeah. Well, I do really love reading books. And I think I do what you said, which is that I get stuck in one book and I'm like, I don't like this. So then I just completely stop reading.
Mm,
Or I love a book and I get so sucked into it and I don't want it to finish. And then I'm so sad after it finishes. 'Cause all I want to do is read more of that book. And then I have a hard time starting a new book because no new book is as good as the other book.
yeah,
Yeah.
it can never fill that space.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I get that way with books. I get that way with movies and TV, where
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to be in this world a little longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to stay here.
I like this world more than my world.
Did you see?
Sorry, I had to do that. Okay. Yeah, what
No,
next?
that's fine. What was the new movie? Just like the what you're talking about with that Italian book reminded me of All of Us Strangers
Let me look it up.
with Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal and Jamie Bell and Claire Foy. Basically, Andrew Scott is both of his parents have passed away. He's living kind of a lonesome life in London, I want to say, and meets a guy, meets Paul Mescal, and there's an attraction, but he definitely has some like past trauma that he wants to work through. And so he like ends up going back to his family's home and
Okay.
sees them as like his age. Like his parents are a couple, but they're his age and they're alive.
Oh, wow.
And then like he's interacting with them at that age. And
Do they know who he is?
they know who he is. It's a lot of like suspension of disbelief. And I don't want
Yeah.
to give a lot of things away, but
I will I
it's
will
really,
say
really beautiful.
I did just Google it and I found out there's a surprise twist ending. So maybe if you're thinking about watching it, don't Google it. Just watch it. Because I think
Yeah,
it just
just watch
it
it.
did just spoil it for me.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks really interesting. I feel like I kind of heard of it in that I knew that Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal did something together, but yeah, you're right. I didn't really hear much about it after that.
Yeah, it was
Interesting.
really, I really enjoyed it. But I love the two of them. So I'll watch anything.
Yeah, and Claire Foy too. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Who's it? Jamie Bell? I don't think I know who that is.
Jamie
Plays
Bell was
the
one of my
dad?
like very early crushes. Yeah.
What else
He's
has he
great.
done? Billy
He's
Elliot.
been in, yeah, he's Billy Elliot. He's been in about a
Oh,
thousand things.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and
He's,
he's married. He was married to Evan Rachel Wood, and then he married Kate Mara.
mm-hmm. Yeah. But he was a very early crush for me.
Oh my God, they're making a Tintin sequel,
Oh
and
yeah, I
he's
think
Tintin.
he's the voice of Tintin. I liked Tintin.
Cool.
Big news. Tintin.
Coming in 3 years, so big news. Peter Jackson, director.
Last night, we rewatched the end of the US men's Olympic basketball game
Uh huh. Okay.
because Steph Curry
Yeah.
just decided to make 4,000 3-point shots.
Yeah, he was like, "You guys are sucking, and I'm not gonna let us go down like this." So he
No, they weren't sucking.
that's what I heard. I heard that they were not
No,
doing well.
they were winning.
They were winning,
They
and
were
then
winning,
Steph
but
was just like,
France was close. It was a close game, but I was there for it. But they weren't sucking. But he was
"Okay."
like, "Let's just end this now," and he just let it rip.
I
He
saw a
let
pic
it rip.
I saw a picture of Steph Curry going
Yeah. Night
go
night.
go to
Go to
sleep, night
sleep
night.
now.
Yeah.
Go to sleep. So we like rewatched the end of that, and then Jeff talked about this a documentary on Netflix that we should watch called The Redeem Team. So we watched it,
Mhm.
and it's about the 2008 US men's basketball, like Olympic basketball team.
Okay.
There was like a time when the US men won basketball like so many years in a row
Well, that's
at
our
the
sport.
Olympics.
It's kind of embarrassing if we lose at that.
Yes, it is. And then there were years where we lost, where there was no
Uh,
cohesion and it just wasn't working.
uh,
And they were talking about how so much of basketball is like these solo egos coming out, and then you make this
mm,
super team, and so like how are they going to work together as a team?
right.
And the answer was they didn't.
Mm,
And so finally, like gearing up to the 2008 games, they hired Coach K, who was the coach for Duke, I want to say, college. And they feature the only reason that I like knew who he was is that they featured him in the Bear season 2 as
oh,
like
okay.
someone to look towards for like leadership advice, because he's led so many teams to victory and
Okay.
he's just like really good at creating teams.
Mm,
And so he was coaching them, and just like he was like, I don't want you to get rid of your ego. I want you to bring your ego here, because that's like your skill set and that's what you have to bring. But all of us need to like learn to have a relationship together and work together. And he brought in all of these people to talk to them and like motivate them in different ways. And he was Coach K was in the military and brought in people from the military to talk about like selfless service and
mm,
like helping each other on the team. And it was so great.
mm.
And spoiler alert, not even a spoiler because this happened like
15
12,
years ago.
whatever, however many years ago. They win.
Okay.
They win. The US men's team wins. So it was
Yay.
called the Redeem Team.
Okay.
But it was so heartwarming to watch. And I was just like sobbing at the end. But also
Mm.
like seeing Kobe Bryant was on that team. They brought him in
Mm.
because he was like the best in the world at the time.
Mm.
And he like was known for being pretty cold and having this very large ego and whatever. But
Mm.
he and LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, like all of these guys just like meshed together. And it was like
Mm.
we're a team. And it
Mm.
was so heartwarming. Highly recommend. Even if you're not into sports, like I can get into sports if I choose. I can kind of like get into anything if I
Yeah.
decide to.
Yeah.
But even if you're not into sports, it's like a really nice show of like working together for a common goal.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I feel like that's such a big part of team sports, though, is like working together and finding that cohesion. And people work for years, like groups work together for years to find that cohesion. So they know exactly like how to support each other and how to like know each other's blind spots. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they become so successful as teams. And that's why teams can like win over and over and over again at these like massive championships because they have this incredible cohesion as a team. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's so, I don't know, like you think there's like these big individual star players, but they wouldn't be anything without that full team. Like they can't do it all by themselves.
Yeah.
And it's true, like you bring all of these people together who have been these superstars within their own groups and they're like the most talented person. And all of a sudden it's like the most talented people all in one team. And then how do you like manage those egos? That's like such a, Coach K, like that's such an incredible skill set to be able to like take these people's egos and use them for the greater power of the group. And
Mm-hmm.
like to say like also that's your superpower. Like I don't want your ego to be checked at the door. Like bring it with you. Just let's manipulate it in a way that serves all of us instead of just you as an individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I want to read his book now. He just seems great.
speaking of the Olympics, did you hear the news about Jordan Childs
I'm
getting,
upset.
yeah,
I'm upset. I'm
crazy.
upset. Okay.
So crazy.
Simone Biles is the GOAT, but
Yeah.
like Jordan Childs is my favorite person to watch.
She's so charismatic.
Like stupid. She
Yeah.
winks at the camera. She like is so I was explaining to Jeff when the Olympics first started. I was like, Jeff, you don't understand. Like everyone comes out onto the stage with you for the gymnastics things, like the floor routines and all of these things, and they come out with like stone face.
Yeah.
And then they do their little present and they smile for a second and then they are like stone faced. And I'm like, it's gymnastics is kind of parts of it are kind of weird where it's
Mhm.
like it feels like the dancing aspects, like the choreography is very half-assed, but
Mhm.
it's also because like that's not what it's about. But
It's
it
so
feels
true.
very
They're
much
like,
like swim. Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, you can watch
yeah,
this.
yeah.
But it's very it's kind of weird. Okay. I'll be the first person to say it. It's weird.
I'm sure you are
But
the first. No one said
I'm the
hot
first. No
take.
one else has ever thought this before. But then Jordan Childs comes out. There's a little bit of Beyonce going on in the background. She's
Mhm.
flipping. She's looking around. She's engaging with her audience. She's having a
Yeah.
great time.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm here to watch.
Yeah.
I
It's
want to watch everyone
showmanship.
flip
She's
and whatever. But I'm like, oh, the personality.
magnetic. Yeah.
Oh,
I was listening to her on Vogue's podcast this morning. I think it's a couple weeks old, but it's like a recent episode. And she was talking about how she was silenced from such a young age. And I don't know exactly what the context is for that, but I can imagine like with all the culture around gymnastics that we've heard about in recent years, like and the
mm-hmm.
sexual assault and, just being told basically like the only answer is yes, I'm okay. Like you can't be anything but okay. And it's that like stone faced thing that you're talking about. It's like just like, okay, I just come here, I do my flips and I leave. I don't have feelings. I'm just like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm just a body who can perform these things. And now she's like, I feel like I'm coming into my own and really being myself and like showing my personality. And it must be such a big, I feel like it's so expansive for those girls, especially to be able to just go from like, I can't be myself at all. And now there's all of these moments of them like really expressing themselves, like Jordan Childs having all of this showmanship or just like winking at the camera and just being like so herself. Or like the girls, I think it also extends into like really good sportsmanship of like, you think of that picture of Jordan Childs and Simone Biles like bowing down
To
to,
Rebecca Andrade, who I'm
yeah,
equally obsessed
of
with.
Brazil, who won the gold, and like they're
She won
on
the gold
the
in
floor.
the floor.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're bowing down to her on both sides of her on silver and bronze. And it's just like such good sportsmanship of like, we're not here to just compete against each other, but like we also respect each other's talent and we respect that like you did better at that than I did. And it's a healthy competition of like, let's just see who is the best at this. And it's okay that it's
Mhm.
not necessarily me all the time versus like I think what it used to be before, which was there was so much pressure on being the best and having to like win that top spot. You couldn't be yourself. Like the mental health aspect of it just was like so lacking. And it's
Yeah.
just like so much more fun to watch too as a viewer to be like, I love seeing them like going and giving each other hugs or just like being good people to each other in this like incredibly intense pressured environment. Like they've worked for years just to be
Mhm.
here and to be able to do these things, and it's just like really exciting to see that, and it's just so much more fun to watch, and it feels so much healthier, and
Yeah. I
it feels
completely
exciting.
agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And even like seeing Simone Biles out there and then she'll like
Mhm.
do her crazy flips and then she'll hit and she'll look so proud of herself and like
Yeah.
so stoked that she just did it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was actually talking to my therapist. I had been rewatching one of the floor routines or something, like one of the parts of the competition right before a session with her. And I got on with her and I just like could not calm down. I was like, I am so pumped. Like I cannot calm down. I seeing people excited
Uh-huh.
makes me excited. Like
Yeah.
seeing somebody truly excited about something that they're doing and being so like invested and also like celebrating the fact that they're invested
Yeah.
and being so open about being having genuine excitement about it makes
Yeah.
me so happy and feel so like I have so much permission to do that myself.
Yeah.
And I know like personally, maybe I've talked about it on the podcast, but I know that I've talked about it to friends where for a very long time I felt like I had to like quiet my own excitement about things.
Mhm.
But that's part of me. That's literally part of me. I would venture to guess that that's part of many, many people,
Mhm.
but part of Ariel is getting stoked. Like light me up. I'm ready to go. This is so exciting.
Mm.
And like why would I not allow that?
Yeah.
You know? It's
Yeah.
cuz it's annoying to some people, it's too much, it's this, it's that. But like if I can't be excited about that, when can I be excited?
Yeah, feel
You
your
know?
joy, feel your excitement. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And seeing
So,
the genuineness of that on national TV, like you can see it in their eyes. Like there's
mhm.
no words that need to be said. Like you could just see it in their faces, see it in their eyes when they know that they did it. And for
Mm.
them to feel so proud of themselves, I think that's also like permission too to like feel proud, and isn't doesn't have to be this like egotistical thing. It could just be like, I fucking did this. Like this is dreams
You're
coming
in the
true.
Olympics.
And as you should. Like you should be so
You
fucking proud of yourself. Like,
yes. You're
yeah.
the best in the world. You won a gold medal and you've been working like your entire life to get there.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of
Like
course.
of course you want to celebrate that.
Yeah.
And like of course you want to be humble and like recognize people that helped you along the way and you don't want to like rub things in people's faces that will make them feel bad, but also like my excitement and my recognizing my own work ethic and everything that went into this point, like recognizing my own talent, like that's something that should be celebrated. And if the effect of that is that some people around you feel less than or whatever it is, ultimately that's not your problem. Like that's for them to look at.
Yeah.
If I'm like, you suck and I'm the best, that's a different thing. But
Yeah.
that's not what we're
That
talking
is a
about. This
different
is
thing.
like, I get to stand
Yeah.
in all of the hard work that I've put into this.
Yeah. Yeah. It can feel so hard though. Like it feels hard for me anyway. And I don't know what that programming is, but to feel proud of myself when I have an accomplishment, like I automatically want to downplay it. I want to make not a big deal of it. I want to like add all of the buts and, it's not important
Mhm.
because and all of that. I want to add those detractors onto the ends of I did this thing dot dot dot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wonder what that is because like I don't always feel very proud. I don't feel comfortable being proud of myself. And even
Yeah.
yesterday, like I had this gig that I booked and I was excited about it for a minute and I was sharing about it. And I was even like in that same sentence, I was like, I booked this thing, but it's like,
Mhm.
and I was told, and it was so right. Like, no, no buts. Like, this is a accomplishment. This is something you've worked hard for, and this is something that you've achieved. And like just feel it. And I forced myself to just sit with it and feel it. And it felt so good. And I'm like, why am I denying myself that good feeling? Because I feel like it's not enough. Because like I
Yeah.
have bigger goals and this like one step towards that goal, like this is not significant. Like, why am
Mhm.
I denying myself of the joy and the feeling of accomplishment on the way to that bigger thing that I want, you know?
Yeah. And then like if you can't feel it with this one step, once you get up to that big goal, do you think you're going to be able to let yourself feel it then? You know
No,
what I
because
mean? Like
that was a great point that was made as well yesterday. Like, how would me a year and a half ago have felt about booking this thing? Like, I remember I booked this thing about a year and a half ago that paid a third of what this is paying. And I was psyched. I was like, I
mhm.
cannot believe they're going to pay me to do this thing. I get to go to this place. This is going to be my job for the day. Like, that's insane. And
Mhm.
now, a year and a half later, I mean, I now have an agent and like I didn't even submit myself for this. I didn't have to audition for this. Like it was just a direct booking. And I had to do no work to get this job, basically. I mean, I did in terms of like me building my reputation, doing all the work up to this point. But like for this specific job, like I didn't have to put any legwork in and it's paying 3 times as much. And now I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Like
Yeah, but even what you
reality
just
check
said,
myself.
yeah,
Yeah.
but even what you just said, I think like sometimes when we are putting in the investment pieces where it's like, okay, I'm going to make these relationships with these casting directors and then I'm going to get all of my package together to submit to agents and all of these things like that you have done
Yeah.
that are super super tangible.
Yeah.
But like once you get to a place where you don't need to do anything in the moment, it can be
Yeah.
really weird to be like, well, what did
Yeah.
I do to get here? Like
Yeah.
what allows me to deserve this? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, let me look back on a year and a half of work that I've done to get this job.
Yeah. Many, many, many hundreds of hours of work. Like it's not that I've
Oops.
done nothing. That's such a good point. Like I've done a lot to get to this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is wild to think of like me a year and a half ago being like so excited about this job that I mean just financially like was a third of what this is. And like noticing the difference in the feeling. And it's that same point of like when I get to that largest goal, like how am I going to feel if I've never let myself feel proud through all the steps? Because that goal is just going to keep getting further and further and further away. Like the goal will change as I
Mm-hmm.
progress in my career. And so it's just a never like it's a never it's not reachable. Does that make sense? Like I'll never hit that goal because it's just going to keep mutating.
Mm-hmm.
There's
The
always going to be
line's gonna
something
keep
else.
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, so
Yeah.
it feels inspiring to watch people be proud of themselves because it gives me permission to be proud of myself too when I do something that is big for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I I think for me, like the more that I've done, like investigated this in myself and done work around it for myself, I felt a lot when I was younger that I needed to like dim my light in order for other people to feel okay.
Mm.
Like that was a big thing for me. And then like seeing the after effects as an adult of like, oh, like I recognize that I am good at these things, or I have these talents and abilities, and I like special in these ways, and I can recognize that, but I don't feel comfortable celebrating those things because I feel like if I celebrate them, then it's going to make other people feel bad. And like being able to like slowly divorce myself from that being my reality has been really hard, but also like very necessary. And I still notice it. There are still times where I'm like, oh my God, I'm downplaying this thing. Or like, oh yeah, that is a talent that I have. Like that's just, this is a thing that's just part of my personality. And it's giving me a leg up in this situation, but it doesn't mean that I'm like an imposter. It just means that like that's a thing that I have, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like stepping on other people to get to this place. I'm like living in my own integrity.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting, and I would generalize that it happens more in women than it does in men. I don't know that to be true for certain, but that's what I hear a lot. So yeah, I mean, just going back to watching somebody at the height of their abilities and their talent and everything win a thing and be able to just like stand there and fucking know. When Simone Biles put on her goat necklace, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Because it's
It
just
felt like a sigh
true.
of
It's just
relief.
fucking true. Like,
It's just true.
yeah.
Let it be true. No one's
Yeah.
like, who is out there being like, well, she's not that good.
No,
Nobody's doing that.
literally nobody. Yeah. Also, we mentioned her in our last episode, but we forgot
Oh,
to
yeah.
circle back. But we saw her live in Brooklyn. Like, what was that? Like 3 years ago?
It was like
2 years ago?
very,
2.5 years ago?
it was pretty close to after we met.
Yeah. It was very soon
Yeah.
after. And they like were coming to the Barclays Center. And it's actually, I looked it up and it's her, she founded the tour. So it's her
Oh,
company,
good for
or her
her.
like production company that put it on. It's called the Gold Over America Tour. And they've had tours since as well.
Mm.
I think that was their first tour, but basically you get to go and watch them do gymnastics. And obviously she did things that like she could literally do in her sleep, like nothing Olympics level or competition level, I think, but just like epic to watch her do her thing. And there were other Jordan, what's her last name?
Jordan
Lo-
Childs wasn't
Not
there.
Jordan, sorry, Lori Hernandez. She was
Oh,
there.
yeah. She was a commentator on a lot of the ones that I was watching, and I just thought she was the
No.
best commentator.
Oh, I bet.
She
I
was
mean,
so good, and she was such a good foil for the guy. I didn't really care for the guy because he would be like,
mm,
"Yeah, she's had a really hard time. That was just okay." And she'd be like, "Well, she, you know, there were a few flaws in it, but she executed and like she finished." And she was just
yeah.
like this positive force, and she had her own
Mm,
insight, obviously, because she's been on the Olympics team. But I was
yeah.
like, "Girl, yes, please continue." Like
Yeah.
she was great.
That's amazing. Yeah, I feel like that's
Yeah,
also such a great career move after being a professional gymnast, is to be a commentator.
commentator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good for her. And she is such a
but it
like
was,
positive light. She's
oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The way she talks about things is really cool. But yeah, the I forgot that we went to that. I forgot because I hadn't watched the Olympics in years.
Yeah.
And then you were like, "Do you want to go to this?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Cuz I love fucking love the Olympics. I love gymnastics. And I was like, I
Yeah,
have
I
to
mean
go see
now
this.
I'm very into it again. But
Yeah.
yeah, at the time I was like, "Sure, yeah." And I was blown away. But it was so funny because we were at the Barclays Center like
Yeah.
high up in the stands at a
Nosebleed.
gymnastics thing watching all these, and there were all these like little girls around us, and like they were playing Pink and like all of this
Yeah.
girl music, and then you and I were drinking tall boys. We were drinking like tall boy beers, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
Yeah,
gymnastics, fuck
we're sitting
yeah."
in the nosebleeds, the Barclays Center, watching Simone Biles, the GOAT.
You go, girl.
Oh,
That's right.
girl. Yeah. You
Yeah,
tell
that
those
was
twisties.
really funny
Yeah. That
and
was a lot of
fun.
fun.
Yeah. Okay, let's end it on that. A high note.
Okay. A
All
very
right,
high note.
everybody.
She can jump very high. So literally
She
high.
can jump high, high as the sky. All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you later.
All right. See ya. See you in 2 weeks.